Okay. I'm going to call the Springfield City Council regular session to order with roll call.
Mayor Van Gordon,
Here.
Counselor Weber,
Here.
Counselor Mo.
Here.
Counselor Rodley,
Here.
Counselor Stair,
Here.
Counselor Doyle,
Here.
and Counselor Pictionary.
Here, thank you.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As we begin our meeting tonight, I would like to ask members of the audience who are joining us by phone or online to please keep yourself on mute until you're called on to provide public testimony. There is one designated time for public testimony this evening under business from the audience. If you are attending in person, please complete the request to speak card located at the entrance of the council chambers and give them to the city recorder. If you're joining us online with a tablet, smartphone, or computer and wish to speak up at either of those times, please use the raise hand feature in Zoom. The order of public testimonies is as follows. Anyone in person in the council chamber and anyone who has raised their virtual hand. And Neil, how many folks do we have joining us to?
Mayor, approximately 18 folks in the council chambers and 7 participants online.
Thank you. First item, please.
First item is the consent calendar.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
All right, Neil, could you call a vote, please?
Yes, Counselor Weber,
Yes.
Counselor Mo,
Yes.
Counselor Rodley,
Yes.
Counselor Stair,
Yes.
Counselor Doyle,
Aye.
and Counselor Pictionary.
Yes, thank you.
Motion passes. 6 yeses, 0 nos. Next item, please.
You have no public hearings tonight, so the next item would be business from the audience.
Okay, the one card I have in the evening in the room is for Sean Highland. So will you come up and let us state your name and location for the record and then have 3 minutes?
My name's Sean Highland. I reside at 2100 Hayden Bridge Road in Springfield. And so I'm here to talk tonight about annexation fees. Some of you already know, brought you to light of these. I'm gonna do this quickly, but a quick trip down memory lane. It was 2009, I think, the last time I stood up here talking about site review fees. And at that time, everybody heard what we were talking about. We went through a bunch and a study was done to determine that the fees were overcharged because they were based on a rate per impervious square footage. And just for an example, our High Banks Industrial Park that we now have fully built, operational in 2009, when I dropped off my site review packet, was quoted $110,000 for site review. I picked up my packet and left. 2.5 years later, after the study was done, you guys all agreed that it was overcharged. It would cost me $10,000. Seemed a lot, more reasonable. So here we are now. I am developing a 25-acre site at 5230 High Banks Road. It was the old Eugene Sand and Gravel Pond that they mined. We've been filling it for years since we bought it and are ready to develop it into an RV storage facility, possibly mini storage as well. But it's just outside city limits in the urban growth boundary. So county kicks me to you guys, which I'm going through it all. I'm ready. I want to do this, but I'm at the point now where my annexation fee is based on a cost per acre. It's a flat rate in the city. Doesn't matter if it's an acre, half an acre, 30, 40, 50 acres. It's the same cost. So it's a little bit lopsided. So the fees for annexation, 74,000. Let me read this right. Yeah, $74,000 for annexation, $52,000 for a metro plan amendment. There's like another 15 grand and some other stuff too. I don't remember what those all were, but those were the two that really stood out. And that's kind of got me to stepping back and looking at it a little bit more. One of my planners at TBG that works for me, he used to work at the city of Eugene. He pulls up the chart for the city of Eugene's chart. Their annexation's a flat rate of $5,155, metro plan amendment, $8,777. So there's a pretty big gap there, huge gap. Now I know I've met with a few of you guys already, Jeff over there as well, Neil, and you've agreed. Yeah, you guys think you supported a study maybe already, which is great. And I think you'll find it it's very lopsided for the large sites to the smaller sites. So the reason I'm here today is the last thing I was told was by the time everything gets done, the fees may get changed in the summer or fall. I'm ready to go. I want to get my project rolling, and I can't do that until I have to do annexation. I think I've got 9 months worth of stuff to get done before I can do anything. So anyways, I'm here to just ask that potentially look at freezing rates or pausing them, let me give a deposit with a refund to come or something, so that way progress can still happen while you're reviewing your rates. Thank you.
Thank you. That's the only card I have in the room. Are there any hands or anybody online?
Mayor, I don't see any hands raised from the online folks.
Right? Is there any council response? Joe?
Excuse me. I remember that first project, and I think there was another one before that, that was with another local builder. What you bring up makes sense to me, and I think that, I don't know if their staff is planning to work with you or look at that or to review it. I'm not sure, but I'd like to know if staff has got a response to his questions, or if there is something in the works for this, because it does seem pretty lopsided, but I don't have all the facts. So I'm not going to say it is until I have more info.
Nancy?
Counselor Pictionary, staff has discussed this issue with Mr. Highland, and rather than taking council meeting time to talk about it, we are in the process of finding an external consulting firm to look at our fees and fines. But I think that in this case, we're going to need to do more research about Mr. Highland's request this evening. So.
Victoria?
I just wanted to make a quick comment that one of the things that having a little bit of experience with the city of Eugene, and then also coming into this, I noticed that there was a disparity in the costs as well. And so that I'm brand new, so I haven't had the opportunity to bring up that issue, but that has definitely been a concern of mine as well. So I'm glad that this is coming forward to staff to take a look at.
All right, anybody else?
I hope in the big picture, we look at value of that project when it gets built, and the city taxes going to be paying, as an asset to the city. So that's real important.
Yeah, so Nancy, could you just take it away and maybe distribute some more information to us, and then give us a chance to take a look at it? Because I think he's got some ideas in there that might be worth talking about. Joe?
And just quickly, you gave us an address of 51 something.
5230 High Banks.
5230 said B. Is that the old ponds that are just north on? Right, so he had the motorhome plant there, but the one you're talking about is the one on the east side of the road and just a little bit south of Defoe's property, right behind the industrial park.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, sand and gravel mine.
All right, next item, please.
Next item is business from the city council.
Is there any other business from the city council? Everybody make it to their
That was a nice swearing in today. We had it at the Justice Center for the two new officers plus two other people that were advancement, forget the name. And a lot of people showed up. That was very popular. That was very nice.
it was definitely exciting, and we're happy to see the new folks showing up. And
Yeah.
Joe?
Just gonna say, I wish I could have made it. I was out of town, so.
And then a couple of us went to the MLK March and the student event yesterday. And I do have to say that as far as elected bodies, we were by far the largest represented group at the speech competition yesterday. So I thought that was pretty cool. All right, next item, please.
Next item under business from the city manager, we have item number 1 is award a contract to HDR Engineering, Inc. for 42nd Street Levy Emergency Action Plan. This is project P41044. And Brian Conlon is here for a staff report.
Thank you. very much. Good evening, Mayor and city councilors. I have not met you yet, Counselor Weber, and look forward to got to meet Counselor Doyle earlier this evening. I want to start out by saying this agenda item was put together by Ken Vogany, who has a lot of experience working with floodplain management and also with this specific item being the 42nd Street levy. So I'm going to start with the action request, and that is approve or reject a motion to authorize and direct the city manager to execute a contract with HDR Engineering. And the contract is to not exceed $150,000 to develop an emergency action plan for the 42nd Street levy. And I think what I can do, if you want, is provide a little context of why we're here. And so about 7 or so years ago, we got information that we had deficiencies with the McKenzie levy. And so knowing that the deficiencies brought about a risk concern with flooding. And excuse me, we get a little water. Nancy asked me if I was getting a cold earlier today, and I'm not. But anyway, about 7 years ago, the council and staff started pursuing financial and technical assistance to modernize the 42nd Street levy as it is deficient enough that we have a risk concern. And so with that, there are a couple things in play right now. One of the more recent things is there's a feasibility study that's appropriated by Congressman DeFazio, took the lead on that. And that's going to help us with some of the elements of design and assessment. And this emergency action plan will help us navigate. I believe it's a prudent measure to help us navigate that time before construction would occur. And so with that, the HDR will provide a framework, and that framework will identify vulnerability assessment. That'll be one of the objectives of that vulnerability assessment. And let me read through this just real quick. Lost my place. There'll be public involvement and communication plan developed with this. And then also, like I mentioned earlier, the vulnerability assessment and flood risk characterization. So this engineering firm will go in, they'll work with the other federal agencies to make certain that how the output of this will be aligned with the USAG and Corps of Engineers and FEMA as well. So pretty much what we're hoping for is that the plan it won't secure the fact that we can't stop a flood, but what it will do is will help us navigate how we will fight a breach if one were to occur. So.
Leonard.
Brian, thanks for the report. So were we ever able to determine the composition of the levy? I understood that was going to be a factor in determining whether we could build on top of it or whether we were just going to have to tear it all the way down.
I believe the answer to that is no. Ken could better answer that, but that's part of the characterization in the assessment in the feasibility study that will follow this.
Okay, good.
We'll get a better idea, and that will help determine the scale and magnitude of where to work, what to work. One of the concerns is there's been rechannelization. The channel is moving to the west substantially and to the north over the period of about the last 4 years, and somewhere in the area of 400 feet. So that's a big concern, especially north at the toe of the levee. And so we'll get answers during this assessment, and the characterization piece of it will identify where we're most vulnerable.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Joe.
It's a little concerning where we're looking at this to plan to fix a breach as opposed to preventing a breach. Bunch of money. but-
Go ahead.
If you don't mind, so the 42nd Street levy is a super high priority, as you know, and
Right.
so there's several years before we get to that replacement or repair. And so in the meantime, using some of the funds that we got through the federal delegation, putting together a plan for how we would react to any breach is something that we don't have. And as they put that plan together, will also give us some information that we can use towards the eventual fix. So this is an in-between piece as we work towards the eventual just replacement of the levee. But as it is right now, we have no emergency response plan should something happen, and this will give us that.
Point, yeah, and I get it, but you know, feds and the state are only, they're not even kicking in a third total compared to the cost, right?
Well, we have approximately of the 40,000 in grant funding, and then the balance of that will be made up with our
Stormwater drain, yeah.
Revenue, yeah.
Interesting to see. I'm not against it. I'm thinking, you know, whatever we can do up front. It's just sad that we're trying to play catch up now, but
Well, you may recall that we purchased approximately $200,000 worth of box walls, which were flood fight materials. And like Neil said, in this sort of interim period until which time the levee might or might not be taken down and built up, or wherever that work might occur.
Mhm.
It allows us to establish a plan that helps us do exactly what you're talking about.
well, it certainly shows
Flood.
we're doing our due diligence. Should something happen, it will give us the defense of not doing anything. So that's a good thing. Smart.
Steve.
I've done this in the past and I'm not sure why is riprap illegal?
I don't know that I can't answer the question whether it's illegal or not.
Why isn't that considered on the stream bank all the way down to, I've done a lot of that. That's what it's for.
I think part of this, as far as the vulnerability assessment, I think this will be a furtherance of us being able to determine where and what we're dealing with. And
Okay.
a lot of this is not very visible. And so if we were to build on top of something that would not be substantial enough to, some of it, I believe, the concern is that it's open to undermining, potential.
You can open the toe up when you do the riprap. And the other one from my bridge building days is sheet piling. All that stuff works good, goes in as far as you want it, but if it's long enough, you weld a piece to it. 2 rows of sheet piling down through there, I think could make a big difference. And I've said that to people and they don't pay any attention to me, but I did want to say it in the public.
We have to gain access to the river too, and there's a lot of positive things in motion, and
Yeah.
who knows, maybe that will be part of the fix in some places.
So the material looks great, and I know that we've got to take, it's sort of, we got to take small steps towards getting this thing fixed. I would recommend, if you have not read the handout in the packet that he's holding up right now, that is probably the best single handout that explains, sort of where this whole project started. It shows the channel moving, and the probably 15 different projects that are from everything from water quality to fixing the 42nd Street is in that handout. So when I think about what do we want to do with the 42nd Street corridor, right? It all really starts with the levee, and then there's water quality and stormwater and everything that's really involved in that. eWeb's concerned about it. We've got a lot of just questions that are related to this. So I would recommend that you read it. And then if you have questions, you reach out to the staff accordingly. Thursday, the staff and I are going out and showing Congresswoman Hoyle around the location. And we're gonna go down into the mud and take a look at it so that she can see it. And then we'll keep the conversation going from there.
There's a good representation of the channel migration in this as well. So
It really pops. Like if you take a look at it, it really shows up well. Are there any other questions? All right,
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the city manager to execute a contract with HDR Engineering, Inc. to prepare an emergency action plan for the 42nd Street levy.
Second.
Neil, could you call the vote, please?
Yes, Counselor Weber,
Yes.
Counselor Mo,
Yes.
Counselor Rodley,
yes,
Counselor Stair,
Yes.
Counselor Doyle,
Yes.
and Counselor Pictionary.
Yes, thank you.
Motion passes, 6 yeses, 0 nos. Next item, please.
Any other business from the city manager?
Further business, thank you.
Any business from the city attorney?
no business. Thank you.
All right, we are adjourned. Have a good night, everybody.